How you doing, everybody? I am Marty Snyder from NBC Sports. Good to have you guys out here. Who's ready for the Bojangles Southern 500 coming up?
Yes, sir.
You guys are. I am. So can't wait to get that going. It's coming quick. NASCAR season is almost halfway there, believe it or not. So it's time to start talking about the Southern 500. So to kick things off, we'll bring up Governor McMaster to talk about the great Southern 500.
Thank you. And it really is great. Peggy and I were there last year. It is fabulous. I think that's maybe the third or fourth time I've been there. But y'all, I got to say, I'm never gonna miss it. It is total excitement. Particularly if you get a chance to go in the infield and to see those cars. The horsepower is up, what, 700? 800. 800 horsepower under the hood, and they'll go a lot faster. They have to keep them going slow down. They don't go much over about 180 when they're going in the straightaway. But just to feel the power of those engines, and then if you get a chance to go look inside, go look where the work is done. You have these young people, you have these older, experienced people, and it is high tech. It is sophisticated. This is the highest tech probably in the country, and they measure everything. There was one winner, I think, in 1986, where it was 2/1000ths of a second was the difference between the winner and second place. It is a spectacular event, and it speaks of South Carolina so well and so strongly. And it's world renowned. It's known all over the country, and I promise you we're going to go, and I would urge everyone. This is a great, great South Carolina event. It puts us on the map. And it's strong, and it again is celebrating excellence in these vehicles and these drivers and the technology that they use. So we love it, and we're glad to be here and have the Southern 500 Day Darlington right here for the state.
Sure. Thank you there, Governor. Thank you very much.
And on that note, we're excited at NBC Sports to be bringing you that race, no doubt about it. And with that, let's bring up the president of the Darlington Raceway, Mr. Kerry Tharp.
Thank you there, Marty. All right, thank you, Governor. First Lady, thank you so much for having us here today at the mansion. 2 years in a row, we've had excellent weather. I want to thank all the folks that are out here today. All the support we get from the state of South Carolina is unbelievable. I want to thank our great partners at Bojangles who are here today. Let me tell you what, they're the best partners in sports. And we couldn't do what we do without them, and I want to thank them for their support over the years. I want to thank the media for coming out here today. There's a lot of different things y'all could cover, but this is the most important thing for you to cover, especially today. So we thank you for being out here today. And certainly I want to thank my man, NASCAR Hall of Famer and former Cup champion Rusty Wallace. The guy flew all night, all across the Atlantic Ocean to get here. He just came from England, Ireland, Scotland, and all parts unknown to get over here to talk about Darlington Raceway. And Rusty, I appreciate that very, very much. And certainly Marty Snyder. We can't have an event here without having Marty Snyder here, so I appreciate you being here. But listen, as the governor alluded to, we are a state of champions, a state of excellence, and that's what Darlington is all about, putting on a championship quality event and providing fans from all across the country and even the world with an excellent brand of sport and entertainment. We've been around now for almost 70 years, and certainly Darlington Raceway and the Bojangles Southern 500 is one of the sport's crown jewels. I mean, Austin Dillon won the Daytona 500, and 10 minutes later they said, "What do you think, Austin?" He goes, "Well, I've won Daytona, but I got to win Darlington." Okay, that tells you how cool our place is. That throwback weekend that they came up with, it's a winner. Let me tell you, we've got our 4th one coming up this year, and it's going to be the best one we've ever had. These are exciting times at Darlington. We've got a capital investment project going on over there that's called a Better Darlington. We're not touching the racetrack, but we're putting in better seats that the fans are going to have a much better and more comfortable time when they come there Labor Day. So we're very, very excited about giving Darlington a new look, a Better Darlington. This year will be the 70th anniversary of NASCAR. So we're going great guns. We've got 7 decades of NASCAR that we're going to celebrate, and that's a lot of celebrating that we're going to have. And as the governor alluded to, if you haven't been to the race, you're missing out. Trust me. it's a party and a stock car race breaks out. So I really encourage you to get over there. You know, I've been in this state for 33 years. I wasn't born here, but I feel like I was born here. Lived in Columbia for 20 years, and I can tell you what, in the fall of the year, there's two things that the people in this state get jacked up about. That's college football and Darlington Raceway. And we're glad to be a part of that equation. We've got a big impact on this state. We do. We have a big impact on this state. And that one weekend generates about $64 million of economic impact, and we're proud of that. And it stays right here in the state of South Carolina. And I can tell you what, no other sporting event in this state has the depth of fan and tourism reach than we do at Darlington. I thank you for your continued support. I can't wait to see you all come Labor Day weekend. We're going to have weather just like this. Can't wait to see the governor and the first lady there again. And I tell you what, thank you for being a part of this, and come see us when you can. Thank you very much.
You see why we call him the commander, don't you? So we'll bring Rusty Wallace up, and the man who actually did fly all night long. He's on a big trip from Ireland. So Hall of Famer Rusty Wallace, everyone.
All right, everybody. Appreciate that.
All right, let's talk about the significance of Darlington Raceway, and back to your driving career. This is one of the tracks, one of the 2 or 3 tracks where you said, I've got to win, right? You've got to win Darlington.
I always wanted to win Darlington so bad, and I've had some really good runs here, second places and leading laps, but I never could close the deal, Marty. And it's one of the racetracks that I missed that I wasn't able to win at, but I felt like I won here because I really ran good here. But I had some big crashes too, so Darlington was nice and Darlington was mean sometimes, but it's such a historical place. It's so big time to the drivers. The drivers love racing the Darlington Speedway. It's one of their favorite. It's hard, it's tough. And when you think about the track itself, it falls right in the same name as names like Wrigley Field, you know, the big stadiums around the country, you know, the big things. Oh, the Yankee Stadium, oh my gosh, all that stuff. That's what you think about when you think about this track. You don't think about it as just being a racetrack in South Carolina. You're thinking about it as being something historical. And if you win here, it's a win that's heard around the world. When you win the Southern 500, that's a big, big number. And so, as a driver, I always tried. I couldn't pull it off, but I totally understand the significance of it and how big it is.
And I know for us at NBC Sports, bringing it back to Labor Day weekend and having this throwback weekend has meant so much to everybody. How much fun has that been to be a part of and around it? Now that you're a Hall of Famer, you kind of get to see it from a little bit of a different perspective.
Well, what's been so fun for me is the throwback schemes they've been doing now. I think this will be the 4th year, and this particular year, Brad Keselowski is going to run my paint scheme from back in 1990 when I drove for the Raymond Beetle team, who I won my championship with. That's the black and gold number 27. It'll be actually number 2, but it was 27 when I drove it. So I like the throwback stuff. The Hall of Fame gets involved into it big time. We see all the old colors. And Governor, you ought to see the uniforms they put on, all the older, you know, uniforms. You probably saw that. Just a real fun time. We really enjoy that. But there's no other track doing that right now that I'm aware of. But Darlington does it in a really, really big way. It's one of those bucket list things. You got to come down for the throwback week because it's something you remember for a long time.
And it's a different atmosphere in that pre-race, isn't it? It is electric for that pre-race because there's so many throwback things going on. It's such a cool atmosphere.
Well, this year I stood down there on the stage to be announced with all the drivers. The drivers are all coming through. But to look down there and see Bobby Allison, to see Robert Yates, the late Robert Yates, and see all these different people lined up that I just absolutely idolized my whole career. I mean, you think about a man by the name of Robert Yates. He was I used to call him Mr. Horsepower. He built the best engines, the most horsepower. They won so many Daytona 500s and stuff like that. And just to be standing next to him at Darlington was a real, real big deal. And that's what happens when you come down with all the Hall of Famers for Throwback Week at Darlington. It gets that exciting.
And then to the race itself. It starts, a little bit in the twilight, then it goes to night. That's a big challenge for a driver, throwing on top of the fact that Darlington's already probably the toughest track in the entire NASCAR schedule.
Well, that's a great point because Darlington it's a fast track, but it's known to be a track that's kind of slick and you slide around a little bit, you do things like that. But hold on, I gotta get that B out of there, Marty.
That's all right. I wasn't worried. Yeah.
But yeah, you start off in the day and you're sliding all over the racetrack, and all of a sudden the guys that have been really strong during the day aren't strong at night. And you see all the competitors change, and then the sun sets and the track cools off, and all of a sudden the cars start handling different. And it's exciting to watch. And generally, the guy who wins the race is the guy that I call keeps up with the track the most, constantly adjusting on his car. But there's a lot of thought goes into winning this big Southern 500. It's a big, big race.
All right, I want to ask you, because you have a unique perspective. One, you're in the Hall of Fame, you're a famous driver, and you've had so many wins, but you've also owned racetracks in the past. And I thought Kerry brought up a great point, that the economic impact Darlington has on the state of South Carolina. You know that firsthand when you own the track in Iowa. How big is that for an area like Darlington to have a track that's as iconic as Darlington is?
It's really, really big for the area, but what's even bigger is to have the governor and first lady here supporting the Darlington Speedway, because there's still so many people in the country go, what is racing? I don't really get it. But once they go there, they get it. And when they see all those hundreds of thousands of people lined up coming in, and all the hotels packed solid, and all the restaurants packed solid, and what it does for the area is just huge. And so I know when I designed the Iowa Speedway out in Des Moines, Iowa area, it was a huge deal. We did a lot of events like this, and trying to let everybody know that what the economic impact can be. Well, after our first race, they figured it out big time. When that Interstate 80 was backed up for 15 miles, everybody wanted to get into the racetrack. It was such a big, big deal. After that, we learned better about how to get those people in that track and how to take care of that traffic. That was one thing we had to figure out, but we got that figured out, and it's smooth sailing out there right now.
Good thing Kerry has all that taken care of already. I can tell from your voice how excited you are already for the Southern 500.
I really am, and I really am excited about being down here and seeing the excitement out of the governor and first lady. And thank you for hosting this event. It's fantastic. I was here 10 years ago, a long time ago, for an event, but it sure is good to be back with you guys today. And we got beautiful weather. I don't see a cloud anywhere. Do you guys see a cloud anywhere? This is perfect. So thank you very much, Marty.
And as Kerry said, this is exactly what we're going to have for the Southern 500. Okay, so we're going to gather cameras around. We're going to do a little photo op by the pace car with Rusty, the governor, and Kerry, and the first lady. And then we'll break down and do media interviews with Rusty as well. So thank you guys for being here again.